Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie, and we're engaging in a conversation about parent-led education, which is so amazing, and want parents to take back the onus of bringing up their children. And I'm having a conversation with Anita, and this is part 5. So that's what led you to do parent-led education?
No, so now that was part of the process. But I remember the key thing when I began is I read a book by James Dobson called Bringing Up Boys. Yes. Now so when my son was very young, because I knew I was having a boy, and I was like, okay, I like reading, and I like him. He's a Christian writer. But when I read that book, it changed my life. First of all, it helped explain how, imagine, boys are not like us.
They're not. And I'm telling you how we know.
Yes.
You know, when I raised Althea, I put her in one spot.
Yeah. And you
with colors, and I find her there.
Yes.
My nephews.
Yes.
Paka, even my siblings always ask, "You're not tired?" I have spoken, I have shouted. I'm like, whose children are these? Because a girl will just sit still, but the boys.
Yes, so for me it was important so that I can understand, okay. But even as I read it and just now starting to learn how children develop and realizing that boys also develop a bit slower in a different way. As he spoke, he just made me, and he kept even referring to it, that how our modern classrooms are really tailored to how ladies, to how girls learn. And even as we say this loosely because we are stereotyping, of course, the exceptions.
It's not absolute.
Yes, because there are boys who can sit still and do all that. But for me, I was like, wow. And then also the value of starting to educate your children a bit later. Because that was my other challenge. I was like, I'm sending my 3-year-old out. I was like, God. And he referred to another book by another writer, which is called Better Late Than Early. Now, who goes into that and the value of actually waiting. When you wait for a child to be more developmentally ready, how it's so much easier. Something that took you 3 years to train, you'll just do it in like, what, 6 months or less.
So what do they recommend at the age the children start school?
Now, it really varies. But honestly, for me, I always say, what are parents, what you guys, as in when your hand could reach this. Honestly, I actually think, yes, I felt, and that was around from 6 and above. And it did make a difference, honestly.
So that's when they would start school.
And then they also get now to enjoy childhood, you know. So it was for me, so when I started, I was like, okay, fine, at least I'm reading this. I can keep this child, whatever they need to learn, they need to what count, do that, that I can do. But then as I did that, I also began to, I had about homeschooling, then I had about a conference, it's called the East African Community of Homeschoolers. They have a conference every January. So when he was 2, I went and attended. I was like, okay, let me go meet these people and hear what it is. And now you actually start seeing the kids who have been homeschooled. Then we usually have speakers who come from abroad. In fact, last week we were at the conference, and it really helps. So now you start seeing this thing is not theoretical. You start meeting people, and it helps when you speak to now the children who've actually gone ahead, and even in books. So I think I just read a lot, and now I was like, okay, fine. I was like, okay, God, you know what? And I kept feeling God prompting me. You know how you know God is leading you is that each journey as you keep proceeding, you keep feeling a confirmation, and you keep knowing this doesn't make sense, but I know I'm on the right path, you know. And then Makau was so encouraging, honestly. Like a time I told him homeschool, he was so easy. I think I was waiting for a fight,
for him to say something,
but he was like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, why did you agree? And I know, but for them when they were younger, because the mother would have like missionaries over, they actually, even the mom would talk about that, they'd see the missionary kids who were being homeschooled. She's like, they were always learning, as in life is learning. When you're baking, you're teaching them, because it's life. When you're baking, you're doing chemistry, you do math, so you can incorporate learning into every activity you're doing, and that makes it so fun. So that's a key thing for me, is to make learning not this box or compartment. My desire is that my children will love to learn, because unfortunately they need to be lifelong learners, because that's another challenge we are having, in that we don't know what the future holds. So the best I can do is, can I say, expose to them the different talents they have, and that's the beauty of it. We have time to nurture the different things they want to do, and just equip them to love to learn, so that no matter what comes ahead, there's nothing that they can't take on.
And then is there like, so when you're homeschooling, is there like a program to this parent-led education? Is there a program that you can follow to do parent-led education? That's one. Then 2, I heard you talking about field trips, because that's what I was saying, that I felt that maybe they wouldn't learn how to socialize, but then somebody told me that you've also come around as a community and you do things as a community. So can you just address those 2 things?
Okay, good. Let me start with socialization, because it's usually the first question everyone asks. I know, but in fact, we usually say we'll have answers. Will our
kids be able to socialize?
Okay, and not to take it lightly, because that's a valid point. But it takes me back. Now let me give an educational response at first. Is what is socialization?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and what is that? It's how people learn the norms of society, yes, and culture, how to behave in society. And there's this perception that socialization means that I must be able to interact with my peer only, but that's what can I say, a sanitized environment. Because when you see what does the real world expose you to, when you go to work, you will not only work with people who are like your age, exactly. Your age. Yes, you'll have all age groups, and that's what we say in homeschooling. What it does, the child is constantly exposed to people who are older. You're with your siblings, younger people. So for us, we feel that provides, can I say, a better or a more wholesome picture of what socialization is in the real sense of it, but not to negate the value of even the peer interactions. So what we do is that for homeschooling, you have to be intentional.
Okay.
Yes, you know, whereas for parents, you feel like, because they're socializing in school, so you can relax. To be intentional about it. But for us now, we go out of our way, so we have the communities where people meet. Most communities maybe once a week or 2 times a week, and then now we do different activities together. Wow. And it's fun, and now we get to do things like PE, like the one we belong to. We have young engineers. You do sports, you can do singing. We've done plays together in the community, which help the kids be able to be part of a play. You can do instruments, so there's all that. And then there are different communities now which can go into more depth in terms of learning. We have another one where we meet and actually go in depth into in our curriculum. Now I'll go into the curriculum, and then now the parents expound during the week. So they're a different form of socialization, and then we just plant ships among ourselves, honestly, because for us it's part of it. So in the few years I've homeschooled, I think I've been everywhere. Even my 4-year-old is reminding me that we went to Kitengela class the other day. I mean, we've gone to Weaverbird, we've gone to the park so many times, to the museum. We were there in December. So we just keep looking for opportunities, but it's also fun for us parents. That's another thing we realize, that as we are homeschooling, as parents also get to learn. To be honest, we didn't quite learn. We learned to pass the exam, and that's why we would say we used to burn our books after. Did you guys do that?
No, but it was, I've heard it, and it was like, that's the end of that, and it's crazy because life is always about learning.
Exactly, and it's so sad. It also shows that we didn't value the content. Because in my books, as in the books I love, you can't even touch them. You know, when I'm giving it for, bring it back. So it's just to say, so we're also enjoying the process, and we actually say we learn together with the kids. And that's nice when they actually see us enjoying and learning. And I tell my kids, you know what, even me, I'm learning. I'll always be learning for life, so there's no end to this. Then in terms of,
let me tell you something else, which I'm picking up on that, is then it also allows the child to create balance and to do many things. That's what I'm feeling, to do many things, because you're doing many things. There's so many activities, but all these activities are working together, rather than what I feel like sometimes now is crashing people, is people are not able to balance. They're not able to balance too much. Don't bring too much into my life. I've got to maybe stick to one thing. I've got to do this. And maybe even something else that I'm seeing is a lot of people who want to be alone. Loners, or I want to choose when I want to be out there. So or maybe the word for loners is that they go to work and come home. Work, home. Work, home, work, home, work, home. There's nothing else that's happening. But with this life, I'm feeling like there's so many things integrated into life and to the week and to their experience that they'll probably go out there seeking life to be full of different experiences every day.
It's true. Wow. In fact, sometimes I feel there's not enough time. In fact, because my son is like even now he wants an activity, tennis. I just told him, you know what, just pray first that God will give us more time. And they tell me, you have a lifetime to explore all this, you see. But now it's also for them to realize, tell me, you can only do one thing at a time. So today I told him you have to choose football or tennis, you know. So for them to also realize there are all these things, but I like that they're excited, they want to try different things. And now, what you asked about curriculum. The line is a deep hole. Why is it? I know, no. Honestly, let me tell you why I'm saying that. And anyone who has gone online to check on it will agree with me. When you start, and let me tell all the parents, it's overwhelming, honestly, because there's a lot of information. Really? And there are very many different options. So the easiest right now that I can say, the main people know, is the ACE. They also have a homeschooling, a very vibrant homeschooling community, by the way, which is growing rapidly. And then now, other than the AC, which is very strong, now we have the other group. We have some who now either choose for themselves. Those who are doing British system, many of us do American systems, and now we have to bring in books from abroad. But even from that choice, we are usually spoiled for choice. So what it means is that a parent has to take time, sit and read through, sieve through, talk to people, and actually now find something that works for their family. That's another thing, because the homeschooling approach is very, what you realize is that it's very unique to each family. And what may work for one may not work for you because your needs are different. Yes, so that's the key thing. So it feels hard when you're starting, but I remember just sitting and thinking, oh my goodness. But once you get in, honestly, it starts making sense because it's jargon all of its own. But many times now, the different approaches people take, so the philosophy of education, you'll find is usually now what helps people decide, okay, like the Christian ones will be geared more to maybe a more philosophy. Yes. No, but even in America now we have different options. There's those which are more Christian based. Like for me now, I take a more classical approach. And the classical approach is similar to what even the 844 used to be, whereby they divide your developmental stages, can I say, into 3 parts, whereby the initial formative years is where you do a lot of, it's a grammar stage, whereby you're memorizing and taking in information. Then after that, the next phase is the logic phase. Now you're starting to make sense of all this information that you're putting in. And then finally, we have the rhetoric, the communication phase, whereby with all this, can you actually solve a problem? Can you take all this information and write an essay or a paper? And now that's when you're ready to go out into the world, can I say, and provide solutions. Yes.
Wow, that sounds so deep and so much. And how long are you going to do that?
Oh, you've asked me that question that I fear.
Is it going to be forever?
No, that's
Is it going to be up to campus?
Honestly, let me tell you, and many homeschoolers say this, and we don't, it's for as long as God leads. Let me put it that way. For my desire would be to do it all the way. And I think constantly, it's a journey that I began with God. And honestly, without God, it's a very difficult journey. But I'm always open to the fact, what if God chose a different path? It's something I always have to remember and say, I can't hold homeschooling as an idol. And I think that's the hardest part. As much as I want to do it and would love to do it till the end, I always ask myself, so what if God along the way changed it? Or what if our needs changed? Am I willing to say, you know what, God?
Now they can go to school.
It's scary, even as I say it, but it's something I constantly have to keep reminding myself.
And how long have you homeschooled, like now your oldest son?
Yes, I would say from birth. And honestly, and why I say from birth is because that's what people, remember I've said, for me, learning is lifelong. And we don't realize that we are teaching them from when they were kids. We're teaching them how to walk, how to hold spoons, and that is part of for the journey. So maybe now you want, I say the formal one for sitting and holding a book. No, but that's also a good one. That's another thing. The value of homeschooling is now you actually get to see your child and understand fast, can I say, their readiness. You know, like when you're potty training, you're told for best results, watch for the signs of readiness before you start off. Otherwise you'll get so frustrated, you'll have a smelly carpet and sofas because of that. So the same thing with learning. Watch your child for cues, because I've honestly seen that it varies from child to child. And for me, my son, I was hoping to wait to start like teaching him to read till he was 5, but by 4 he was already pressuring me, I remember. And so by 4.5 I began, and it was so easy. Honestly, it was too easy. And even I've had what people say about boys, I didn't struggle with that, but it's because even till now he's an avid reader. At 6 years old, for Christmas he wanted a big novel, so I bought him a Famous 5, as in, because we've looked for, he just wanted a nice, and he sat and read it in a day. So it really varies from child to child. And then the other thing is learning their learning style. And that's where I'm at. So constantly looking and saying, what is the best way to teach him? So even with my younger one, I'm watching him, and so it's constantly asking God. To be honest, I remember when they were kids, the first year, I used to say I have an SOS line to heaven for, God, what do I do with this crying child? What does that cry mean? What does this mean, you know? And I feel I'm there again for, you know what, God? This homeschool is yours. So these are your children. Please show me how should I teach them? Because yes, you'll have a math principle, but now when you're actually sitting and trying to teach, and you're teaching the way you know the child is not getting, you have to stop and ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do? So for now, it's more structured, and now we have the curriculum we follow. But it's not as rigid as can I say, the classroom setting I knew. And that's another process God had to take me through, and He's still taking me through, having to unlearn what education is. Because even as I sit here, I still have the blackboard, and it has to be 8 to 5 in my mind mentality, such that when you don't conform to that, you actually feel like your child is not learning until you see the results, and then you're like, alas.
How have you seen the results? That's a good question. How have you seen the results in their lives?
my child can read. Yay. Yes. No, let me say, but there's small things, but there any parent who has taught their child to read is like, yay.
You actually did it.
Yeah, and I think for me that was the first. And I remember I'd been going through the curriculum, and when he was ready to read, I'd not done the order I had wanted the books. I decided, okay, I'll use that. But I remember that day God waking me up and saying, Anita, what do you have in your hand? And I had this, it's a very simple book on how to teach your child. It's called How to Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. And it was a photocopy. And I remember God woke me up that day and he said, use that one. And I was like, what? So I remember I went, I opened it, and we started together. And it was so easy. And it wasn't what I had in my mind, you know, and we'd just sit on the sofa and we would. And I think maybe I say maybe God made him that kind of a learner to encourage me, honestly. He learns very easily. He's very good. He's way ahead of, can I say, the milestones, which is another thing we need to unlearn, the milestones that have been set by society. But that encourages me. I'm like, wow, you're actually doing this. And even as we interact with other children, in the group where we teach the younger kids, like now my 4-year-old, when he was 3, was learning the same things the older kids were learning, and we're learning about the counties in Kenya, and you'd think they're playing around because half the time they're fighting and doing everything. And I'd be like, are these children learning anything? In fact, the mother who was teaching that class would be like, when she sees the kids sitting still, she's like, there's no way, these children are not hearing her. She's like, the children need to be on the move. You know, as we're used to them sitting to hear, she's like, she's learned her toddlers and she knows. And even now, my son is just walking around saying, Machakos, Kisumu. Then I'm like, I was so shocked. I'm like, you remember? And that was what, like 2 months ago, and he'll just say it today and he'll walk around. I mean, they know history. We've been doing a timeline about ancient things, and they'll just say them. So right now it may sound very theoretical, but what we're doing is we're just putting information. But it shows you that their minds are sponges. Wow. So it's just, what are we intentional with filling them with at this phase? And then don't, in fact, that's a thing with parent-led education. Parents, we give ourselves a lot of pressure. And when we take on the burden, the key thing we have to learn is first relax on your self-centered dreams, because sometimes you want to push your agenda. I mean, the neighbor's child is reading, even you today, you're going to start reading. So can we come, sit, align yourselves, you know? And unfortunately, it's very easy to go off track and start getting your significance from your child's milestones. So in parenting and in, I think, parent-led education, the first thing you must realize is that your child's success has nothing to do, does not reflect, as much as we said bad parenting will result in this, but it's not a reflection on who you are. Yeah, your significance must come from Christ, and even as you're doing it, it must be out of obedience to God, and never because you want this perfect outcome. You see, we all want Altheias, you know what I mean?
But Althea is not perfect.
No, but you know, no, but you know what I mean. And it's very easy for us to say, I want to. In fact, that's another caution. Don't homeschool thinking you want this perfect Christian adult who will follow my faith and do this. And there's a lot of pressure, especially among the Christians, because we want our children to turn out in this way, but there's no formula. So our homeschooling journey cannot be because we want a certain defined outcome.
Child, a poster outcome, a result. It's just to educate. And as you talk, I'm just thinking, for me, what the encouragement is for me is that I think you must be a very close family. Because it allows you to be close. You see, people don't even want to spend time with their own family, their own children, their own husband. You don't want to spend. You always looking to spend time with people outside, the people inside. So for me, your story and doing that homeschooling is going to encourage people to become a very close family, because you do, because you spend all your time with them. And I don't know how to say this another way. Then you have to like your children as well. You must like them, because you're with them the whole day, the whole weekend. There's no forward chasing away the children, then they come back. You interact with them. So not only do you become close-knit, but you like each other, and you actually genuinely like each other and know each other. It's just amazing. And even as you're speaking, I'm thinking I'm able to take my DNA and give you my DNA. Because I spent time with you. I'm seeing that picture. You know how Jesus used to hold the sheep, or the shepherd holds the sheep, and you begin to smell like the sheep. Because you're interacting with the sheep. So there's no way that these children are not going to have your DNA.
It's true.
Because you spend all day with them. You spend all day with that's discipleship.
Yes, yes.
So there's something about that model.
Wow. And what you said is very true. That thing for liking your children, honestly, that's what I realized. It's not automatic. No, it's not actually automatic. Tell my kids, and it's true when they're young, I tell them, okay, I actually enjoy spending time with them. You. And not to point to say that, but there are parents who find it harder. But what I say is,
there are parents who find it very hard to spend time with their kids.
Yeah.
Their parents don't even know their children.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a whole, but what I'd say is take the step. Honestly, let me tell you, kids are so fascinating. Honestly, you can sit and talk to them all day, but just take that, and it's like any relationship. It will be strained and weird at first, but you'll get to start liking each other.
And it could even be strained and we're in there. Yeah. But I think the other thing that does for me, I'm just feeling there's a confidence in that your children will know you and you will know your children.
Yes. But that's also scary because they know you plus all your weaknesses.
Yes.
And now, usually when kids say those embarrassing things, I can't even start saying, it's the teacher. It's usually,
you're the teacher.
So it's usually full, and let me tell you, and kids will embarrass us, and I think it's part of the process. But I think it's constant, because even when you have that poster child, honestly, they will still do.
You're saying that. That's why I say even I don't want anyone to put her out here on a pedestal. She's not a poster child. She's not perfect. I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. Our relationship is not perfect. We have issues, and we're moving through life. You know, it's just that by the grace of God, He has allowed us certain successes and certain milestones, which is good. You know, which is okay. But we're not perfect in any way. But I think it's fascinating. I think it's something that people should do, and again making us think, what was I brought into this world to do? Because I'd like to propose that you were brought into this world to look after your children, to be married maybe at that point, to be a family, and to look after your children. All these other things we've added. Really, I don't know whether you were brought into this world to do that. Maybe it's a value add. I'm just thinking in my head, but maybe it's a value add that God gave us work. Because He said you have to work to eat. It's a value add, but we've made it the main thing, and then the family is a value add. Rather than the focus is the family and the marriage, and these other things are just value additions. The fact that I have a job maybe, or I have a business, or I can have an avenue to create wealth, it's not the main thing. So I feel like saying in my spirit, I'm feeling in my spirit, keep the main thing there, the main thing. And the main thing is to raise those children. And I love what you said, it's discipleship.
It's true.
Wow, I really hope you really enjoyed the conversations. I know I am, and there's so many light bulb moments that are taking place, and I really feel like the conversations are very life-changing, and I really pray that this sort of gives you a trajectory in life and allows you to do something really passionate and purposeful for your children.